All right, guys, well, I'm back today with a pretty awesome little AK pistol. This is the brand new RAK47 Krink from Rally Defense, chambered in 7.62 by 39. If you follow the channel, you'll know I've reviewed Rally Defense products in the past, everything from their AK pistols to their full-size AK-47s chambered in 7.62 by 39, and even their AK-74s, and they've always been great down at the range, very functional, using premium components, and made in the USA. Now this one is no different. It's got a lot of nice features as well as an awesome look to it with that micro compact 8.5-inch barrel, really claiming that Krink space for the 7.62 by 39 platform. Now before we get too far into it, I want to give a huge shout out to AAC Ammunition for always helping out the channel. Now I actually purchased a ton of steel cased ammo specifically for some upcoming reviews, including this one, and this Soviet Arms by AAC from PSA worked absolutely great down at the range. If you want more information about this, you can head over to the campsite page. There's a lot of opportunities and ways to save over there, as well as follow me on my Instagram for daily deals on the stories. But let's dig back into the full overview. Now, I don't have thousands of rounds through this, but I have had a lot of rounds to other AKs from Rally Defense, and this one will be no different, and I'll continue to update you guys on its future progression, and if I see any weird wear patterns or any issues whatsoever. But off the bat, running that AAC ammo and a few boxes of Tola and Wolf steel cased, we had no issues with reliability or function. It just worked great at the range. Now this is a pistol, and one of the first things I wanted to let you guys know is it does have the modular rear trunnion with 10 by 32 screws if you wanted to add addition of a stabilizer or end up filling out your Form 1 to convert this to an SBR. That part is easy to do once you filled out your proper paperwork, or just add a stabilizer depending on everyone's mood on stabilizers at the time. Now, normally I start from the front and work my way to the back, but that's a new update that I wanted to mention that I feel like is very effective and useful for a wide variety of situations, and honestly might be a make or break for people who aren't willing to kind of do some of those over grip or under grip adapters for the back. Now, starting at the front and working our way to the back, we have a very interesting muzzle device. Now, this truly is a 4-piece muzzle brake with a chrome-lined funnel, and this thing is absolutely awesome. That actually sits on a 4150 nitrided barrel, and I'm glad they used that steel. A lot of AKs will use 4140 or even a steel maybe of a lower grade from that, but this one is that 4150 with the nitride coating. It's also threaded 24 by 1.5 right-hand threads, and with those NFA wait times going down on the Form 4s, pick yourself up a Wolverine, throw it on the end, and you'll be good to go. You do have the front sight post right at the end, and with that shortened 8.5-inch barrel, your dwell time is very short on these setups. So they've had to gas these correctly to get them to function without stovepipes and things like that. Now, when you're firing these one-handed, your ejection pattern will be weaker than a traditional AK. When you really stabilize this out, or shoot this with two hands, you start to see the ejection pattern really strengthen. But that's one thing I noticed about the Krinks in general, whether it's a 5.56, 7.62 by 39, or 7 and 6, no matter which one you have, that dwell time is short, so gassing them effectively is going to be key, and this one was running great, no issues. Now, surrounding that gas system and barrel is their polymer handguard. It does a good job. It looks mean, it's functional, and it's nothing to write home about. It's not the greatest, not the worst, but it's definitely cool for this setup, and I love the way it blends seamlessly into the receiver itself. At the top, you do have a hinged dust cover right here and raised sights. Now, these are not the traditional AK leaf sights. You do have a sight right here that flips up and down, and you can adjust the windage and elevation. It also has a side scope rail. Just know that you're going to be able to get most things on, depending on which scope rail you have, behind there for an optic if you want to do that, but I'm glad they included the scope mount on the side. Now, getting to the guts of the setup, that's what we really want to focus on with AKs, especially US produced AKs. Back in the early days, some companies were using subpar components That's not the case here. You are getting a forged trunnion, a forged bolt, and a forged carrier with a chrome-lined piston. All the wear parts on this setup are incredibly well made, and they're made the correct way, so it is going to last you a lifetime without any issues whatsoever. And again, going back to my previous iterations of the Riley setups that I've had no issues whatsoever. When we did a 1,000-round torture test on one of the rifles, with no issues, no complaints. So these guys are using quality components. Another thing I want to mention is the fact that this has the extended safety lever with the bolt hold open notch cutout and that little extension so you can knock that down. This was a little tight for my liking. I kind of bent it out a little bit and it loosened up. I would like to see this just a touch looser, but it's kind of just a nitpicky thing and it wears in a little bit as you use it. But overall, it's a good safety selector and everything is working great. Now, the grip on this guy is very interesting, very slim, but very ergonomic for that one-handed or potentially two-handed shooting while holding the grip. It just fits your hand nicely, but if you don't like it, who cares? You can swap it out. It's cheap enough. Now, getting into mag compatibility, we ran mostly Magpul mags, and this what this ships with. We also ran US Paul mags, both the clear as well as the full black mags. And then we also ran Korean steel case mags and a couple others that I couldn't really remember. But every mag locked in. Some had more wobble than others, but honestly, the P mags were the best. I felt like they rocked in the easiest, yet they didn't have a ton of wobble. And this is what I would recommend when running the setup, although it worked with every mag we tried, just to be clear. Now I want to take a look at the fit and finish of all of this setup, because that's also key, and these guys have been doing it for a while. So the rivets look really nice. They all look fully seated with no issues there. The finish on these guys is pretty darn good. Even after running a lot of rounds through it, the finish on this is holding up good. I've tried some other Romanian AK pistols here recently, and the finish was not as nice as this. They are Romanian AK pistols, so they're going to be good AK pistols, but just as a testament to the finish on this, it's really nice, and it seems incredibly well built. And again, these guys have been doing it for a while, so they know what they're doing, and they keep progressing. I like it. It's a very interesting niche. An 8.5-inch 7.62x39 Krink style AK pistol, hinged dust cover, extended safety lever, and a true 4-piece flash can on the end of it. It's awesome. I don't see a ton of people doing this. In fact, this might be the only US produced version with this similar setup, and it does the job pretty good. Is this for everybody? Absolutely not. This will be a noisemaker. Inherently, with the lower dwell time, it's not going to have the same ejection patterns as some longer, true full setups. You know, you've got that barrel ending right there on that 8.5-inch. So there are going to be some things that you'll see, like massive flash balls and things like that may not make it, you know, absolutely practical, but it is a blast to shoot down at the range. It runs really good, and overall, it's just awesome to add a 7.62x39 Krink style pistol to your collection. Thanks to Riley Defense for sending this out at my request. I'm really glad they did, and I'm a huge fan of this setup. Also, again, a huge shout out to PSA for helping out the channel through AAC, sponsoring this 7.62x39. It worked out great, especially through this Krink. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.